Good evening. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. Today is Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, and this is the Cottonwood Heights City Council business meeting. I have asked our IT director, Matt Irvin, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to get us started. Thank you, Matt. Item number 3 on our agenda today is a public hearing to receive input from the public with respect to A, the issuance of approximately up to $30 million of general obligation bonds, and B, the potential economic impact that the improvements, facilities, or properties to be financed in whole or in part with the proceeds of said bonds will have on the private sector. Scott, anything you would like to add to that?
No, I think that's a good recap of it. We'll utilize those bonds again down in the Hillside Plaza area for the new city center that we're anticipating to be built there, for the open space, the public improvements, the street improvements, the land, and some possibly some parking improvements as well as immediately adjacent areas that could possibly benefit as well. So,
great. Thank you. So I am going to open the public hearing for this item. If you are here for the public hearing or the public comment period, this is not the citizen comment period, is what I'm trying to say. So if you're here to comment on the bond, this is when it's your time to comment, and we'll wait for the citizen comment period until agenda item number 5. The first card I have, or comment card I have, is for Randy Whitehead.
I'm Randy Whitehead, and I would just like to commend the City Council for their willingness to listen to the residents of Cottonwood Heights and build something beautiful that will be a wonderful face for the city. And I also am very, very pleased that it will help strengthen the financial viability of the city by being able to receive funds from the land lease. I just thank you, and I'm excited for it.
Thank you, Randy. The next comment card is from Gordon Walker. A joke will be great if you want anytime, Gordon. You can add a joke anytime you want.
Careful, Mayor. You know, I was thinking about this. I generally am not very supportive with government funding activities. But in this particular case, I think I want to commend the council for taking this on and having the vision to see through. You have spent well over a year thinking about this, working on it, discussing it. And I know that there's been a lot of discussion. I've spoken with some of the council members individually about their feelings about this. This does represent an opportunity for Cottonwood Heights to create a thoughtful process and plan for where we are in the future. We could easily be distracted by the views of the mountains, but the fact is that we need to look within our city limits itself and determine. You have taken and voted and taken the responsibility on of supporting a geo bond, which is certainly the most challenging of all bonding activities for elected officials. And I commend you on this for your thoughtful process. Mayor, you have spent, and actually all of the council members have spent a great deal of time on this. You have empowered a citizens group to spend, who have some level of experience in doing this. And in thinking about it, this is something that it's not totally baked, it's not totally finished, but the timing of doing the geo bond is very important. And so as citizens of the city, I would suggest and support that we all support this particular geo bond effort and the vote. This is a challenging year to have this because we've had so much talk about inflation, and yes, that's a problem, to the point where $8 or $9 for the average house becomes a challenge. And yet this is the time to step up and to make the change so that we can make a statement that comes about in 15, 20 years, whatever. I would encourage the council not to get in too big of a rush to do this, but rather to continue the thoughtful process, and would express full support in supporting this bond for the citizens of Cottonwood Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Really appreciate those comments. Mike Hanson. Okay, let's hear it.
Actually, the happy birthday needs to be for former Mayor Peterson. It's his birthday today.
So Mike, you want to comment in both public comment and?
Yes.
Okay,
So regarding the bond, it's known I'm on the committee with some of the others that have commented tonight. And in those meetings, there's been a great deal of opinion, a great deal of work, and a great deal of thought in this. And the thing that just strikes me most of all, because I spent quite a bit of time talking to people, particularly in District 3, a lot of the neighbors that reside around Hillside Plaza, maybe in one of those, is that this is a process that is going to be really awesome. And that sounds funny to say, but it really will be something that will be of value. I do have to say, those folks that I've had conversations with that have been somewhat naysayers over this come to me with not all the information. And so I would make an encouragement that we do special efforts to make sure that information is given to people so that we can get past the hearsay and really put the words where they belong and the facts where they belong. Because again, so much has been put into this on the committee level. We all know that the council's done a considerable amount. So thanks for getting it to this point.
thank you, Mike. The next card I have is for Dan Mills. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Mayor. To the council and to the public, I'm so grateful that we've gotten to this point. This process of Salt Lake County experiencing so much incorporation over the last 30 years has been a really, really unique phenomenon in an area that's so firmly built out. And how difficult is it to find a way for a community to get an identity? And this unique opportunity to take a piece that really has been through the 40-year life cycle of a building and has really not grown appreciably, and that all of us have fond memories of a time far gone by that this piece of property was an absolute gem. And the desire of the city council to try to bring it back to what it was and to shape it a little bit, maybe not so much control it and prevent development as much as shape it a little bit. I'm grateful for the direction that this council has had and that our staff have had in trying to shape it a little bit. And I second those that have gone before. I'm not someone who prefers bonds, generally speaking, but the process you've gone through and the desire to make something that's attractive to developers and that will promote economic development in our city, I think is an extremely powerful tool. As I look at how development has occurred in other parts of the city, this is such a unique opportunity for us to shape this. And there aren't many projects, I think, in in Utah that would be similar to this. Maybe City Creek, where the property owner has allowed a development group to proceed relatively unencumbered for the sake of creating an economic engine downtown that's been incredibly successful. And how nice would it be for Conwood Heights to have a little bit of ability to shape that a little bit? I also would add that the ability to preserve a little bit of open space and some gathering space. As I talk to residents and my personal experiences when we talk to developers and those of us that had the opportunity to participate as residents with the first couple of iterations that the property owner entertained before the city bought it, looked a lot to me personally like Sugar House. And when I described to residents, you know, the reason I'm voting for the bond is that I'm not interested in, you know, 5 to 7 stories of wall to wall, you know, potentially 1,000+ units, maxing out whatever we can squeeze in there. I love the idea that you are choosing to take a bigger step to try to shape what this can be right in the center of our city. So thank you to the council and speak firmly in favor of the bond.
Thank you, Dan. So Shannon Haley. You're not. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So are these all general? There we go. Those are all general. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So Jim Whitehead, I don't know if you're the bond or if you're a citizen comment. For the bond, yeah, coming up, Jim. Thank you.
Having been through the Taylorsville Banyan Incorporation effort many moons ago, in creating wall-to-wall cities, as we've heard, and then having been the chairman of that council in the middle of that process, I can really appreciate where our city has a unique opportunity. 35 years ago, I moved to Cottonwood Heights and built, and I love how our community has been very thoughtful in what we've done. I got caught up in our community preservation and ultimate incorporation efforts because I live right by 30th East and Fort Union Boulevard, and Holiday thought that was their neighborhood on the other side of the freeway. Not to say anything bad about our wonderful neighbors, but that was a unique opportunity to step in and get involved once again. And so I'm excited to wholeheartedly support the bonding effort for the Cottonwood Heights Town Center. It's an amazing thing. We have a treasure in the making and an opportunity to provide something in the heart of our community where we can gather together frequently. It'll draw us together in a variety of ways, not just one unique way, and allow us to continually and regularly celebrate. I believe it has widespread approval from everybody that I've spoken with. And I really, truly believe that the presence and the vestige of a senior community center will make it a centerpiece for a lot of our citizens for a long time to come. So again, I wholeheartedly support that effort and am very grateful for the leadership that you've been providing in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So that is the last comment I have for the bond, unless there's anybody else that wanted to comment. Seeing none. Anything, Jared, we need to submit? There's the record.
I was just going to let you know, we did receive 3 online submittals that were in support of the bond and the project, and those were just forwarded to you as well.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to officially close the public hearing on item 3. And we will move to item 4, which is once a month, we allow the city council to take 3 minutes each to talk about some of the initiatives that they're working on, some of the committees that they work with, to let you know more about what's happening within the city. So we'll start with Council District 1 and Councilmember Matt Holton.
Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. The committees that I sit on is the Historic Committee, which is a community volunteer city committee. Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling and the Mosquito Abatement District. Two of those you pay fees for, and one of them is purely a volunteer, focusing on the great history that we have here. Regarding the Historical Committee, I sit on there not as a active member, but as a liaison for the council. They are focusing on putting together some comments regarding the old mill and what the folks in that area would like to see happen. And so if you have any input that you want to give there, feel free to reach out to some of those folks. They'll be submitting some formal comments to the council with their recommendation. I've said this in the past, but we're starting to get a little colder weather, so mosquitoes should be going away a little bit. But if you've got any standing water, there have been some more severe illnesses that have come upon our community, not specifically Cottonwood Heights, but Salt Lake County. So if you have any standing water, please take care of that. Get rid of that. If there are any high density issues when it comes to mosquitoes, let me know and we can see what we can't do. And then Wasatch Front Waste and Recycling, everyone's got opinions on the pickup and the reservation process. So if any residents here have opinions on that, let me know. Aside from that, that's all the updates I have on those three specific committees.
Thank you, Matt. From District 2, we have Councilmember Suzanne Highland.
So one of the liaison assignments I have is to the emergency management in our city. And just want to make everybody remember and be aware too that we have amazing volunteers in our city. The CHARC, which is the Cottonwood Heights Amateur Radio Club, is a group of dedicated volunteers who do drills to prepare for emergencies, large or small. And of course, we always think about the big one, the earthquake, but there's also potential for flooding or maybe fire on the mountain. And so they'll be holding some drills coming up in October because they're the backbone. They're the ones who are going to help us prepare as a community if should any of those things occur. We hope they don't, but we'll be prepared if they do. And then I also sit on the CH2 committee, which is a liaison opportunity with the Cottonwood Heights Rec Center. And of course, there's multiple events that we do in conjunction with them as a city. We coordinate. I do want to just highlight events that are coming up in the city. The block party at Hillside Plaza has been scheduled for September 30th. And I wanted to let everyone know that this actually came as a suggestion from a resident who wanted us to get a preview of what it will be like to have a community space. Should we go through with should the general obligation bond be approved and we're able to see the vision come to life from the community, the committee. And the block party is going to be from 5 to 7:30 on September 30th with a bike safety rodeo. Oh, just lost my computer. There we go. Face painting, photo booth, and food trucks. So please spread the word and come and enjoy this opportunity. Other things that are coming up: a Monster Mash on October 25th at the Rec Center. This is a cherished tradition that's in Cottonwood Heights, and we're grateful to the Youth City Council for their help. And then the committee also wanted me to tell you and make you aware that the 40th year of the Thanksgiving 5K is upon us. So if you want to run a 5K on Thanksgiving, they said that the registration is open and they recommended that you register early because it sells out. And so if you want to find that registration, just the easiest thing to do is Google Thanksgiving 5K Cottonwood Heights.
Mayor, is that the one where people can race against you?
Oh, boy. Yeah. So
It's
if you
easy.
if you
Everyone
race
sign
against
up.
me and you win, you get a medal. So let me just.
So everyone gets a
Let me
medal.
just give this context. 2,000 people get to enter. About 700 have been beating me for the last 2 or 3 years, but that means I've been beating 1,300-ish. So I have been having hip issues. So this year, the rec center decided to order 1,900 medals. So if you want a medal, this might be the year to run. We'll see if I feel better by Thanksgiving, but thank you for that.
Yeah.
And for the record, during that meeting, I recommended they put you on a Segway so that you could be out in front for the entirety of that race. Lastly, I'll just want to commend the Arts Council and our community for Beauty and the Beast. Ann Etchell gave a report to the council in the work session, and I'm just in awe of the intensity of resources and volunteers that are required for that. 3,200 people attended, and the production was intense but wildly successful. So thank you to all for these events that really create connection and community. And we are hearing that expressed by our residents, that is what we are missing in a society that is so divisive And so I am particularly grateful for these events that bring us together.
Thank you, Suzanne. From District 3, we have Councilmember Sean Newell.
Good evening, everyone. I want to just report on a couple of the committees that I serve on. The first one is as the liaison to the Arts Council. And yesterday we had an opportunity to unveil and do a ribbon cutting at the new mural at Mountain View Park. If you get a chance, please go visit that mural. It's dynamic. We had a local artist that lives right here in our community commissioned to do that, and along with some others from other communities that came in to assist in this project. It's really phenomenal, and it's on part of that pollinator garden. Has anybody visited the pollinator garden there at Mountain View Park as well? It's located there on the south side of the park, just right along Fort Union, and it's phenomenal when you think about the types of insects that are really count on the vegetation that we have here in our state. It's just really eye-opening. Yesterday, we had someone speak to us about the number of bees, and I think she stated there was 6,000 some odd different varieties of bees. And I never even thought about that. I just thought the one, little honeybee that goes around, and she said that's just a very small part of the different types of bees that exist and that, this pollinator garden will support. And another thing that the Art Council is working on, you'll start to see some of the utility boxes and murals being painted on them. One of them is right here with the Brighton Bengals on there. And we've got permission to do that on a number of different utility boxes in the city to help beautify our city. And I'm really excited about it. Another opportunity I have to serve is on the Canyon School Foundation. And with this Canyon School Foundation, what that foundation does is really fund a number of different opportunities for the district to be able to support not only our teachers and our students, but the community as well. One of the activities I wanted to point out that we're involved in right now is on September 23rd at Harriman High School, the Unified Sports Program will be putting on an event there. And those that aren't familiar with Unified Sports, it's dedicated to promoting social inclusion through shared sports training and competition. And within those experiences, these teams that are part of this are made up of equal numbers of people that have and do not have intellectual disabilities. It's tough because these sporting events take place during the day. This one is from 10 to 1 on the 23rd. But if you ever get an opportunity to go watch these students perform in different types of sports, I think this one will have soccer and some other field sports, but it's a great opportunity to watch these young people have a ball, and especially watch the assistance that the unimpaired students give to the students that have disabilities. It is really sometimes a tearjerker for me. But with those, I'll leave the next one up to Councilwoman Burrell, but take a chance when you get a chance to get involved with the Arts Council, get involved with the Canyons District in any way you can, because we get these chances to really influence our young people. And that's something that's really important for us as a community.
Thank you, Sean. And from District 4, Councilmember Ellen Burrell.
Well, there has been a lot of things going on. And of course, with District 4 being the eastern edge of our city, if you've traveled along SR 210 Wasatch Boulevard in the last few days, you know that the Utah Department of Transportation has chosen to erect a 30-foot high pole, which will hold what's called a VMS sign. That's a variable messaging sign. They have done this for the benefit of the ski motorists who are here, of course, in the wintertime. Holiday received one of these signs, as did Sandy, and Cottonwood Heights sign is located just north of where Bengal Boulevard intersects SR 210. Many residents have come to me with a concern of how that will affect their view from their home, either if they live to the east or west of that section of Wasatch Boulevard. I arranged a meeting and the mayor and city manager participated with me with some UDOT project managers. We did our best to convey the concerns of our community. We were not able to change the location of the sign, which I really felt would have been more effective to the north side of Fort Union Boulevard. I just want to share with you quickly, I emphasize the importance of motorists being directed to the forthcoming intermodal hub, which will be built in the gravel pit on the north side of Big Cottonwood Canyon. And also that location would allow motorists to know that Fort Union Boulevard is another way if they don't want to, if they find out that either Little Cottonwood Canyon is closed or that there is traction control going on and they don't think they can meet the traction requirements, or the forthcoming tolling will be put in place. That'll be when the additional busing is also in place, which, speaking of UTA and ski bus service, many people know that the Route 953 that used to run from Big Cottonwood Canyon southward and take people up to Snowbird and Alta, that's been discontinued the last few years. UTA will be reinstating some service. It won't be identical to the previous service, and it has not been formally announced. But I met with UTA executives last week, and I can share that it's looking very good for our residents to be able to have bus service without driving all the way either north to 6200 South Park and Ride, or all the way out to Sandy to the Park and Ride there in order to board a ski bus this winter. I would also report that the Parks, Trails, and Open Space Committee, on which I am the council liaison, was a big factor in bringing about the pollinator garden, and which led, of course, to this wonderful Arts Council project of the mural. So as Council Member Newell admonished, I highly urge you to get over to Montview Park and enjoy the pollinator garden and the new mural. And I, again, really commend the PTOS department for their work on that, along with their concern about protecting public access to our trails. There are a lot of good things percolating in the PTOS committee. I also work with the Youth City Council, and they have really been knocking themselves out to support the various projects and events that go on here in Cottonwood Heights. Most recently, a number of people in the audience, I'm recognizing they were wearing different clothes when we all gathered on Saturday for the community project that commemorates 9/11. And so Jim and Randy Whitehead and the many other people that were leaders in that project. One of the things was the beautifying of the intersection on the Bengal Boulevard and 2600 East. So when you drive by there and you think something looks different, you can remember that it was very weedy and kind of unpleasant looking. And I really commend the citizens that came out in force, and I thank the people that led that project. It's a vast improvement, and it really didn't cost the city a nickel. So way to go. Let's see. Coming up in another week, I'm going to be attending a Connected Communities conference down in Provo that's led by UDOT and Bike Utah. We also, let's see, have a really great opportunity on September 27th. The executive director of Strong Towns, Chuck Marone, is going to be giving a presentation at Jordan Commons. I believe that's from 6 to 7:30 p.m. It's free and open to the public. And I also continue to work on sustainability, supporting our city mandate to see ways that the city can advance sustainable practices in our city. So that's maybe enough from me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to take just a few seconds here, but I want to thank the city council. We have 4 members that represent each district in our city that are unbelievably invested, not in just making our city better, but in the people. And I have to tell you, sometimes this job, isn't easy. Sometimes you get to talk to people that aren't very happy, and they take it on, and they get invested in people's problems and concerns, and I just want to express, my appreciation for all that they do. The only thing that I'm going to mention is that I'm going to piggyback on Councilmember Newell as well. If you haven't been to Mountain View Park in a while, I recommend you go. As we were there yesterday and did the ribbon cutting for the mural, first off, the mural's beautiful. And I think anytime a city can add to beauty through art is an amazing thing. And so that's one of the things that I think this city council is invested in, is investing in things that make our city more beautiful, and to help and let people who are creative and artists participate in that process. So I encourage you to go there, but to also stand at that mural and to look at the pollinator garden that has been created. It is absolutely beautiful. And it made me think about, I took somebody recently who hadn't been to the Big Cottonwood Trail. The Big Cottonwood Trail, if you want, it can start at in Holiday, just over past the Cotton Bottom, and as you go east, it can take you all the way up close to Wasatch Boulevard, and I think so few people understand what a beautiful trail that is. As you walk east and see, walk next to the river, and look up at the mountain, and we are so blessed to live in the city, and I even as mayor, I just remember that all the time as I am out with people and get to experience things with others. And so anyway, thank the city council for their comments. We're going to move on to item number 5, which is a citizen comment period. This is a time for citizens to address the council regarding whatever matters they desire. Each speaker will have 3 minutes. At the end of this 3 minutes, I'll give 4 or 5 seconds to wrap up, but to be fair to everybody, that's a request that you do finish right after the 3 minutes. Please review the public comment procedures on the last page of the agenda. If you haven't filled out a speaker card already, do so and hand it to a staff member. When making comments, please be respectful and speak into the microphone so that you can be recorded, and please give us your name and avoid insulting language. The council is here to listen, but you shouldn't expect to engage in a back and forth dialogue in this setting. If you do raise questions, staff will respond to you as long as we have your contact information on the comment card. And the first comment card I have for tonight is Runar Bowman. Hi, Runar.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Runar Bowman. I'm in District 3. And before I begin my comment, I just wanted to mention that I was heartened to hear about the pollinator gardens that we're building or expanding in Cottonwood Heights. I think that's a great idea. I kind of have that opinion because my house property is visited by a lot of hummingbirds during the summertime, and they come up from South America. I don't know how they make it here, those little tiny birds, but they're the most amazing animals on earth as far as I'm concerned. And they just go crazy all summer long, feeding on the flowers around my house and the feeders and what have you. And they need all the food they can get because the last of them just left 2 days ago to head south. They just beat the rain. So whatever we can do to help them out, I'm all for it. But what I wanted to really talk to you about really quick was the discussion last week about Bywater Park and the crossing there. And I did hear a comment that the residents didn't want to walk on the south side of the road because they're exposed to the heat and the sun. And I thought that was kind of interesting because, the council is really big on promoting walkability in this community. And there's all this talk about putting in sidewalks on Bengal, Highland, Fort Union, Wasatch, you name it. And that's okay. We want to put in sidewalks, but we're all fully exposed to the sun. And walking in 90-degree plus heat, sun beating on you, it's very unpleasant. So if you want to put in all these sidewalks and spend all this money, I think you might want to entertain the idea of putting up, trees. In other words, developing a canopy so people can walk under that canopy. Because from experience, I walk along Fort Union Boulevard to Highland to catch a bus, and I do it because I want to save money on my commute on my car and all. So I put up with it, but it is very unpleasant. It's noisy. It's hot. It's something I wouldn't do unless I was determined to do it because I made a decision, and so I'm living with it. But in the wintertime, the snow plows push all the snow onto the sidewalk, and you have to, what I do is I kind of run along the street and then jump back onto the snow when cars are coming, because it's just a big, 2 feet of snow is piled up there. So, again, Utah is a land of extremes. We have hot summers, cold winters. So if you want to promote a walkable environment, you got a challenge on your hand, because it's not pleasant walking along these roads in the sun, the heat, and the cold. So all I wanted to say is just that, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. You've got some hard choices to make and some decisions to figure out as far as how to encourage people to walk, because as it stands, if you just lay out sidewalks, they'll be underutilized. First of all, people, where are you going to walk to? That's a whole nother story, but I won't address that now. But I'm just saying, if you want to spend this money on sidewalks and make it walkable, you got to make it so that people can handle the heat and the cold. Thank you.
Thank you, Runar. I have to tell you, I saw a hummingbird just a couple days ago. Now I'm sad that they're gone, darn it. But thank you for that information. The next comment card I have is from Nancy Hardy. Hi, Nancy.
Councilman members. I just wanted to just talk real quickly about the old mill again. I don't live near the old mill, and I'm not affected by anything about it. I just really like the old mill, and I like history, and it just seems like the right thing to do to keep the old mill and, just save it. It just seems common sense to me. I just have this question. Is there any way to save the old mill and keep the current zoning? I still feel like every option should be explored. And from what I hear, it sounds like keeping a memorial is a distinct possibility instead of the old mill. And I've gone to a couple of those open houses in there with the maps that Think Architecture has, and I hear residents of District 3 talk about it, and they really are passionate about the old mill. And Think Architecture is there. Sometimes it almost sounds like they're convincing the residents of things on their plan. And the residents, I just want to know who's representing the residents. Because they kind of, I don't know, maybe somebody is, or I don't know if you could do it, Councilman Newell. Maybe you are, I don't know, but I just see them, they seem very frustrated, and it just seems like the city is, working with the landowners and looking at plans, but what about the people that are really pushing to save it? And it just seems like the right thing to do. But I love those utility boxes too. Those are great. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate your comments. The next comment I have is Mike Henson. Hey, Mike.
How you doing? So here we go again. At the block party, there was a bicycle rodeo, right? I'm gonna throw a challenge out to Gordon. Let's make an event and you and I can ride in it. Then where's the joke, right? I just want to express some gratitude. A couple things that have just kind of resonated as I was listening to work session today, and then, some of the events that have happened around the city. I mean, we do have a lot of great things. To think that we were able to pull off Butlerville Days again and keep it in a budget area that was really appropriate. And then the goals of our Van Etchel to try to get this thing to where it actually goes the other way is really great. But that is such a great event. I spent a lot of time working with that and being part of the volunteer in that event. And if it wasn't for a council and mayor that really wanted to see a way together, a community together, we would never have that. And so it's a great celebration for our city. I also have a lot of gratitude for our police officers and those that are out protecting us and code enforcement people that answer the calls and do their job. I think it's just, we're very fortunate to have such a great officers. Saturday, we were a little event that we had a couple officers there and they're handing out badges to kids and those type of things. I mean, we have this great community that really appreciates our law enforcement, and I just feel like they need to be recognized. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Shannon Haley. Hi, Shannon.
A lot shorter than everybody else. So first of all, thank you. Cottonwood Heights has a lot going on, and it's your time and commitment and care that really makes this such a great place to live. It's really cool to see you guys in action tonight. So I'm here, there's a group of concerned citizens that are probably going to speak after me that are revisiting the concern we have and just reminding the council of our desire to protect the trails that are east of Top of the World Drive. I know that you're aware of the citizens' concern for these trails. The town hall that you had brought over 200 or around 200 people, a lot of people, citizens of Cottonwood Heights and beyond, who are concerned about protecting these trails for our master plan, for broader use, and for the love of the land over there. And as leaders of the community, I know all of you care as well. So I want to first commend you for the continuing efforts you're putting forth and negotiating with Mayor. Thank you for your response. It sounds like you guys are negotiating with Larry Walker of Golden Quarters LLC of the land closer to Deaf Smith. But so to give clarity to some of the people that are speaking tonight, there's concerned citizens regarding land it's the Cottonwood Heights Golden Oaks LLC. So this is more the land north of where Larry Walker owns land. And recently there was a lock on the gate that we use to access trails that we use often in that area. And so this has just spurred a lot of concern about whether the council is pursuing efforts to protect these trails, negotiating with landowners, and not only Larry Walker, but Madsen, who owns this Golden Quarters area. So while it's not adjacent to Deaf Smith, as you'll hear tonight, this land is precious and continues to be important for the trail master plan. So I guess the overarching thing is just to not forget the other lands, not just the ones that associated with Larry Walker, and to continue your efforts. And then if they're, maybe explore creative ideas. Tonight we're talking about a bond. Is there a bond we can do to purchase these lands? Or I know you're working on negotiating with landowners for prescriptive rights, perhaps, but just want to continue to emphasize that we care.
Thank you, Shannon. And I actually am going to add, so when were made aware of the lock that went on the gate, that we made efforts to find out who put it on. It wasn't, there was some thought it might have been the LDS Church. It was not them. It was, like you said, the landowner. And we are in the process of trying to have a conversation with them. And that has not occurred yet, but we are, as a city, active in trying to talk with that individual.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't know if there's, maybe in the newsletter or some way concerned citizens, because for a while there, it's like we want to know what we can do and how to help and what's going on.
A good idea. I think that's
there's a way to
time
communicate.
for an update. Yep, and you're do that. Thank you. The next comment I have is Jim Weiger. I don't know if I got that right, Jim.
I'm just the beginning of the contingent. My name is Jim Weigel. I'm also a resident of Cottonwood Heights, lived off of Top of the World Drive, but very close. So I'll keep it pretty brief. Just a quick intro. You know, Utah prides itself on providing access to undeveloped lands. We've seen that in, multiple rulings by the state and that sort of on multiple lands that are federally owned. These are well-worn trails that we access just by the church there. They've probably been accessed from times before the developments even went up there. A lot of the land was probably subdivided at the time in the early 80s, and those parcels have yet to be developed. So it's just open lands. The trails are well-worn, they're well-established. So kind of the way we kind of see it is we're being challenged on access to our wilderness areas. And if you go from that gate, if you walk 1,300 feet back, you actually hit federally regulated wilderness area. There are some places, if you go up the drainage, where it might be about 22 to 2,300 feet. So that's all federal lands up there that we're trying to access, and we use these properties to kind of get to cross over to get to those access points. With all the recent signage, with Death Smith, all the no trespassing signs, new signs at this other access point that we use over by the church, it's basically kind of feels like a lot of the landowners or parcel owners are trying to slowly constrict our access, therefore removing our memory and all of the beneficial use that we use on these currently fallow lands, wild lands, as we go up and access the wilderness areas. Ultimately, we desire to remove, or the ultimate feeling that we get from these landowners is they ultimately want to remove our recreational opportunities in these federal wildlands. So kind of going into the future, I don't have a problem with the gate. But it should allow foot traffic access. I mean, I see the point in having gates there because some of that someone could drive a motor vehicle, and that's not the place to be bringing motor vehicles, or people could unlawfully dump debris up there. So having some sort of a gate, but with the ability for foot traffic to easily pass through, I think is a good alternative. And if these lands ever get developed or plans developed, I think we as a community really need to look at how we include easements so that we can pass through whatever the development looks like and access those federally wild lands that are back behind there. Wow, I didn't think I was going to take 3 minutes. And this basically serves for both the plots of land described over by the church and also the Death Smith plots.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep.
Appreciate your comments. Bryna or Brenna? And the same last name, Weigel, right? You tell me how to pronounce your first name.
It's what Brenna.
Brenna,
You're
sorry,
gonna
Brenna.
hear a lot of us Weigels up here today. We love our trails. As you know, my name is Brenna Weigel. Thank you so much for our service to our community. I've talked here before about the issues on Deaf Smith and our want for a trail easement and access to that area. Now I'm here for this other hike as well as Deaf Smith. I'd like to just make sure that with the plans for Deaf Smith, that the easement is scheduled and schedules is the wrong word, but properly placed in the plans for building the house or whatever's going into that property so that it's not just thrown in there like randomly. Additionally, I know many people, especially kids, who didn't even know that this was owned land that is now gated off from us. But rather that they knew that it was a place for discovering nature and creating adventure. I was similarly unknowing for 10 years until I learned in a particularly hurtful way when one of the owners of those plots of land yelled at me to get off of his property. I was with a friend, we were playing in the snow, and I did not know up until that point that it was controlled land and that I had no ability to go and be in that area necessarily. or that they thought I didn't either. I believe that this really brings into light the morality of the situation. By maintaining open spaces, we uphold the responsibility to create environments that allow children to flourish, guaranteeing fairness, health, and a connection to nature. This is basically a lot to say. Please keep helping us maintain our access to trails. I love what you guys are doing with all of the murals. Thank you so much for your service, for being here, and for helping our community.
Thank you, Brenda. How old are you?
I am 14. It's been like that.
14. That is pretty dang impressive. At 14, I was toilet paper in houses. So that's all.
Well,
Thank you for being a responsible citizen. Yeah. So
thank you so much.
Emily Weigel. Hi, Emily.
Thank you for having me. So yeah, if you want kids who are not toilet papering houses, outdoor space at a young age is a really good way to steer that creative energy in other ways. Thank you for having me. My name is Emily Weigel. I am a Conway Heights citizen. We've been here for a decade. Parents of 2 school-age children. My son is at home. Our son is at home. And I'm a 4th grade teacher at Canyon View Elementary. They have cut short my presentation, so I'm thankful for the everyone else prefacing the concern of the locked gate at 8100 South, top of the world. So, Mayor, you have said that we are blessed to live in this gorgeous area, and I agree. And I think we need to be mindful to keep this area as beautiful as it is today. Once it's paved, once it's built, once a developer has come in, we lose it. As a teacher, I can tell you, outside unstructured time is vital to create and promote citizens that children will grow up to be productive, educated, artful, mindful people. That is what I see every day. People complain about the media, complain about the video games and how it affects our children. Then what have we done to make our spaces welcome for kids to have the autonomy to go hiking like mine have had for the last 10 years with their friends, taking up hammocks, hiking, picking up trash, picking up dog poop. Things happen. But we have done our part to care for this community and to care for this wild and beautiful land. But we as the adults in the situation need to make it welcoming for every single kid and adult to enjoy our open spaces. I believe that is it. I think we've said it all.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
Great family.
Thank you.
I love this. This one is from Miles. Hi, Miles.
Hi, my name is Miles, and I'm gonna keep it brief. I've climbed that trail probably 1,000 times, and throughout 13 years, and I know at least 40 kids who have gone up there for sledding and hiking. Recently, they put a lock on the gate, and I know my sister was severely distressed. I hope you guys protect that land so I can keep creating great memories up there.
Thank you, Miles. How old are you, Miles? 13. Wow, great job. Okay, Casey. Casey France. We've seen you before, Casey.
Hi, I would also like to talk about the trail that the other people have talked about. I I have hiked that trail ever since I was born, and I'm 11 years old. So it's really special to me. I hike there all the time. We've sled there. I know every time I go hike that trail or sled it in the winter, there are 10 other kids sledding at the same time as me. And it's so fun to hike that trail. And when they put a lock on it, I was like really sad. And I don't think that is right because when winter comes around, if there's a lock on that gate, when the kids come, they're gonna be sad and see that there's a lock and they can't go sledding there. They're gonna have their sleds and they're gonna be sad and they're gonna go home. And that is our sledding hill in our neighborhood and we all sled there and it's great. Kids hike there in the summer. I have dogs and they love it up there. They hike all the time and they love it. It's a great way to get their energy out. So, thank you.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate you. And Chester France. Great kids, Chester.
Thanks. This is their childhoods up there. So they spend a lot of time up there. That's all I want to say. So I appreciate everything you guys are doing to protect it.
Thank you, Chester. Robert Coons. Hi, Robert.
Mayor, Council. My name is Rob Coons. I live on Top of the World Drive, and my property backs up against the land that we're talking about here this evening. I'm fully in favor of locking the gate. I appreciate the landowner that has the gate locked. The main reason is we have legal access through that gate, actually. And so I heard comments here this evening saying that that's been open access. It actually hasn't. This happens about every 4 or 5 years. I happen to know that because I access that gate and that property to get to my back lot as part of our legal easement. That, for whatever reason, every 4 or 5 years, that gate does get locked. It gets closed down for a while until neighborhood people or whoever come and tear the lock off and tear all the signs down. That land back there has been posted for over 20 years, no trespassing, private property, so everyone is well aware because of the postings that's back there. But it's very dangerous. I've seen children slide through the fence into the church parking lot and get severely hurt. I've seen old people fall down the mountain because the trails are not maintained. Dog poop all over, garbage dumping, motorized vehicles, 4x4 side-by-sides going back there, almost flipped over, started a fire with a muffler, dirt bikers back there. Vandalism has happened on my property because people, burglars and trespassers can go back in there at night and access people's home from that back area. So it's very dangerous. The biggest thing for me, whether it's locked or not locked at this stage, is that's private property. And we have a city ordinance, right, for illegal trespass on land. That's one of our city ordinances. Thank you for having that ordinance. And I think in this case, until we can work out something with the landowner, that gate should maintain lock for the safety of my family. And also, no one's maintaining that land. So we keep and preserve the land in its protective state. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments, Robert. Robert. Pat Dennis.
Good evening, Pat Dennis, Council, Mayor. I also live on top of the world and back up into that land and have had at least 10 different situations where a vehicle was aiming right to my fence and I had to hold up the phone, say I'm calling the cops. He acted like he was trying to buy the place back when it was for sale. I've had our dog have a fight with another dog in the yard because dogs were up on our fence and there was a altercation because now I have to bark collar all our dogs so we can have peace and quiet because people go up there and think it's an off-leash dog park. And we have one now, so they can go to the new off-leash dog park. And we have dog walkers who take 5, 6 dogs at a time, and I know we have many dogs. There's no way you know where all the poop is going when they're running all over the place. And there is some water up there that happens every once in a while. We've had vehicles block the gate and we've worked, unloading sod or turf or whatever, and we try to get out and we have to wait for somebody to come, the cops, and the guy finally comes down. No apology. It's a fire area access for fire trucks, and we, mow 20 feet behind our lot, but there have been motorized vehicles. There's, always a chance of fire. So we've had to, and rattlesnakes. So my husband has to rattlesnake the whole yard because we don't want our dogs bit. And dogs come up and tear that down. And he's no young chicken, so it takes a lot of time and effort to put this snake fencing up. So we've had to build a DMZ zone around it so the dogs don't come in. And, I get that it's a beautiful place to hike. I know it's privately owned. We moved in '08. I hiked there a couple times, but I respect the owner's right to have it closed off, and we don't go back there. We build a little sled area in our own yard, so it works for us. But I get why people want to go back there. It's just, it's unruly, it's loud. We didn't pay all that money to sit in our yard to have people yelling, Jack, 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 for an hour because their dog ran off. Or, kids, I think kids should be outside. I absolutely applaud that. It's just, it's our peace and quiet. And when I work all day and want to sit down and relax and I have all this noise behind us, it's not fun. So I appreciate it being locked. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments, Pat. So Lola. Hi, Lola. How old are you?
I'm 11.
11.
Me and my friends sled there about every winter, and my brother, who is now 16, has sled there since he was 3. He still sleds there to this day, but when my friend, when I first saw the gate locked, I went into tears, and also my friend Casey also went into tears when she saw the gate locked. There is other entrances to that land, but from where we live, it's really easy to get into that entrance. There is an entrance that's like a fourth of a mile down the road, but it would be hard to get to that entrance from there. It's also a really fun place to sled, and I've had a lot of fun memories there. I have a dog named Cannon who likes to sled there. Well, not sled, play there. My dad and my mom and myself and my brother all hike him at that exact spot. There is an off-leash dog park, but I think it's easier for my parents to bring him there because it's closer to our home.
Thank you, Lola. That was very brave. So I can, Eric, is it Eric Horsley? You wrote that fast, Eric. I'm not sure if I read that correctly. Is it Eric?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, Eric.
I wasn't sure if you needed another speaker in favor of removing the lock, but I think you might. I've lived there for 6 years. We have 5 kids. I do understand and hear the concerns of those that have bought property that abuts that land. But I think as in many things, there needs to be some sort of compromise to be found. I have personally not observed a lot of noise there. I've never personally observed a ATV or anything like that. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but to shut off access to basically the entire neighborhood who receive incredible benefit from those lands seems to be harsh and unnecessary and possibly slightly immoral. And there are federal lands back there. That point was made. There ought to be some sort of compromise whereby access can be provided to those federal lands. So I just want to voice my support in favor of finding some sort of access to preserve those really important lands for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate your comments. Okay, so I do not see any other citizen comments. Anything we need to submit onto the record, Jared? Okay, so I will close the citizen comment period. So we have 3 legislative action items to consider as a council this evening. We'll start with item 6.1, consideration of resolution 2024-62, approving a performance contract and addendum for a 2024 holiday show. We had the opportunity to discuss this item a little bit earlier in our work session. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2024-62, approving performance contract and addendum for 2024 holiday show.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-62.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Holton and a second from Councilmember Highland. Final questions. Call for the vote. Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Holton,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. Item 6.2, consideration of resolution 2024-63, approving and ratifying an interlocal agreement for election services with Salt Lake County. We also had the opportunity to discuss this item earlier. Any other questions or comments from the council? I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-63, approving and ratifying an interlocal agreement for election services with Salt Lake County.
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2024-63, approving and ratifying an intermodal agreement for election services with Salt Lake County.
Second that.
Motion to approve from Councilmember Newell and a second from Councilmember Holton. Final questions. Call for the vote. Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
Councilmember Burrell.
Yes.
Councilmember Holton,
Yes.
Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The last legislative item for this evening is item 6.3, consideration of resolution 2024-64, approving a consulting agreement with H.W. Lochner, Inc. for the 2300 East Fort Union Boulevard traffic analysis. We also had the opportunity to discuss this item earlier. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I continue to be concerned about the scope that is described in this consulting agreement. I think it's very car-centric, and I don't think that it is in the best interests of our residents to have a study that further is car-centric in its orientation and will likely yield data that will not support the kind of complete streets we need in that main street area of Fort Union Boulevard.
Thank you. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 2024-64, approving a consulting agreement with H.W. Lochner, Inc. for the 2300 East Fort Union Boulevard traffic analysis.
I move that we approve resolution 2024-64.
I'll second that.
A motion to approve from Councilmember Holton and a second from Councilmember Highland. Final questions. Call for the vote. Councilmember Burrell,
No.
Councilmember Holton,
Yes.
Councilmember Highland,
Yes.
Councilmember Newell,
Yes.
and I will vote yes. The measure passes 4-1. And we do not have a consent calendar to approve this evening. So at this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.